Sorry about the change of location this month. We'll be back at Bryant Bank next month, and for the rest of the year, actually, they just had to redo their carpets this month. But I'm so excited and so grateful for Celebration Church for letting us have it here. It's a super nice location. And we're going to get started, as always, with quick around the room introductions. And we're going to start with the wonderful Miranda Bennett from Myrick Insurance, who is our sponsor today, who is the reason that we have a great lunch. And our sponsors always are the ones that really make this possible. So we're going to start off with Miranda. Tell us everything about insurance. We all need insurance on our properties these days, especially with the very high premiums. So thank you, Miranda. First of all, we're sponsoring, and let's hear about Myrick.
So I'm Miranda with Myrick Point North Insurance. We are the biggest independent brokerage here in Baldwin County, second generation. I'm a partner there. We handle all things insurance. Nothing is too large, nothing is too small for us. We're known for our service. We want to be known as the Chick-fil-A for insurance. So the market is softening up. I did bring on a carrier this week, and one of our issues here is high-risk homes that is uninsurable. And this carrier will insure up to $24 million, and it will insure right on the water. I did a quote through them, and the house was literally in the water on Dauphin Island, and they killed it. So yeah, things are looking up in the insurance world. If you guys have any questions or if you need anything, I have some business cards. I'd love to help you any way that I can.
Awesome.
2 questions.
Yeah.
Your commercial properties,
Yes.
are you regional or national?
National.
Okay. Thank you.
I always just like to say your name, your real estate focus, and anything else you want to share, just so we know who's in the room.
Hello, everyone. I'm Maria Oliver. I'm a realtor with Real Broker. I cover Mobile County. So,
Awesome.
My name is Marco Toledo. I'm with eXp Realty, and I do Florida, Mobile, Baldwin County. Anywhere I could get a deal done, and that's not too far away, maybe maximum 2.5 hours away from where I live in Foley. And my focus is on expanding my real estate portfolio, getting better at that. I actually want to buy a commercial property, and then helping people. I speak Spanish, so if anybody has a deal, needs help with a Spanish-speaking person, just let me know. I'll help you out.
Thank you. I do not speak Spanish. I'm AJ, so I love to empower a growth mindset in others. I do that 2 ways. One is business coaching, mostly real estate investors, and the second is through a recruiting agency. So we mostly do the lead management part. We'll run your ads, pre-screen, get them up to the place where you can interview them. We do that for all positions across the board. Jennie and I have been besties for about 6 years. We basically grew up together in the professional real estate world, and then I met Mara at CG. So the 3 of us are in that group and absolutely love it. Are you ready? Oh, sorry. That's okay.
My name is Kathy Bolvin. I'm glad to be here. I always appreciate Maura having us, and thank you for hosting. I'm kind of starting out in the wholesale space, so working on getting my first deal, but finding that there's other avenues of real estate that interest me, particularly in the connection pieces. So that's what I've been doing a lot lately, is connecting other investors with each other, and that's been really enjoyable.
Hi, I'm Rob Schell, and I'm with Innovate Real Estate. We're a tax advisory company and a wealth management company that specializes primarily in cost segregation, accelerated depreciation for commercial real estate properties, which for this market possibly could include single-family homes and condominiums that are either rented short-term or long-term. Those qualify as commercial property in the IRS tax code. Rob Schell, Innovate Real Estate.
Good.
hi, I'm Ashley Wiggins. I'm here with Water's Edge Realty. I'm going into my senior year at Auburn University. I'm just interested in real estate, and so I'm interning with Water's Edge this summer, just getting around it and learning more.
I'm Dustin Patterson, and I'm mostly focused on buy and holds and fix and flips. I'm Stacy McRoy, eXp Realty. My wife and I own a self-storage facility and enterprise and wanted to branch off into single-family homes, either flips or burrs.
Hi, everyone. I'm Annie Johnson. I am an interior designer. You guys might also know me as Jeffrey's mom, the 17-year-old that's been showing up to these meetings because he's interested in real estate, and so am I. And I'm just looking to get into it. So we're kind of doing it together as a mother-son team. Nice to meet you.
Eric Oden with Shop House Properties. We try to create great spaces for the best businesses. We specialize in strip malls. And, I started in single family, so I still love to talk about them. And, I'm available for any help in those areas.
Michael Maxey with Revitalized Realty. We are a property management focused company with over 300 doors between Mobile and Baldwin County. We're also a licensed home builder, so if you find some distressed properties and you want some help with a rehab, we can help you there. Property management fee, $129 a month, full service, and for realtors, we give a $500 bonus for referring your clients to us. And we're looking to really grow over here in Baldwin County, so nice to meet y'all.
Sure. I'm Evan Templeton. I'm a licensed agent with eXp, but I also have a real estate investment group where we fix and flip houses. We've been doing that for almost 4 years now. Flipped a lot of crazy, ridiculous situation houses, and it's not always all it's cracked up to be. It's but it's really fun. So so we're buyers primarily, always looking for a good fix and flip deal. Anything on either side of the bay. I've got one in Atmore that we're about to get started on, so we'll see how that one goes. But yeah, and we're also generating some leads, and so I have some extra properties from time to time. I have a few right now that I'm talking to. So if you're looking to find another deal, I may have something that I can share with you. But I can get more of that when I get more into the process. So that's all for me.
My name is Michael Lutz. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and we have a couple properties here. I do not many fix and flip. We do more long-term hold with Section 8 housing. And because we're in Detroit and Mobile, we looked at our portfolio, and Mobile cash flow is better than Detroit. So as the kids are getting older and we have a little more freedom of time, we looked at growing our portfolio here. So we're excited to be here, and everybody's always been so nice. Maura taking us around yesterday to take a look at properties, other people in this room that have helped us out. We just appreciate it. So thank you, and look forward to continuing to build.
And I'm Ryan Miller. I'm an ER physician by trade, looking to get into real estate investing. So tried to keep my eyes and ears open.
Awesome. I don't know if you've ever had an ER physician.
One more.
Todd.
Hi, I'm Todd Brown. Now work with Merle P. Thomas Commercial Real Estate, and that's what I like to do.
All right, we got one more. You want to come and introduce yourself? We're doing our around the world.
Fresh out the hot sun there.
Yes.
I'm Khalid Herring. I work full-time in real estate. I have a couple rentals, but my bread and butter, what I consider my full-time job, is wholesaling. So finding off-market properties and passing on to investors to take them to the finish line, and for them to make a lot of money and me to make a little.
Awesome. All right, I'm Maura McGraw. Run this rodeo kind of. I do flips, rent, and rent to own. Am an investor-focused agent in our area. And I'm so happy to introduce Jennie Hudspeth, who is our amazing speaker this month. She's going to tell us a little bit about her background and how she got to where she is. But she's been in real estate for quite a while now on the sales side, and is really a negotiation and sales expert. So I know that is part of what all of us do here in real estate in all the different aspects. So I'm so excited. Thank you, Jennie, for being our speaker this month. Oh, you already got yours.
Yes. Thank you guys for having me. Thank you guys for giving me this opportunity to come up here and for listening to me for the next 45 minutes. And hopefully my end goal for you guys is that you can take away one tool that will help you communicate more efficiently, more effectively. These tools that I'm about to talk to you guys about, the things that we're going to go over, have helped me be a better mother, a better wife, a better, sales trainer, a better sales coach, a better friend, a better daughter, What we spend most of our time doing and what gets us paid and what helps people is our ability to communicate effectively. So a little bit about my upbringing in the REI world. I started as a lead manager, answering the phones and making outbound phone calls for a wholesale operation right here out of Mobile. We were in 2 markets, Mobile and Pensacola. 2 weeks into my onboarding process, I looked at the COO of our company who was doing my training at the time, and I said, excuse me, what's equity? And he was like, oh my gosh, where are we? What is happening? So I went from what's equity to a sales manager to a director of acquisitions. So I built a offshore call center in Belize, lead management, kind of that inside sales route was really kind of my heart. It was where my genius was in the very, very beginning. So teaching people how to answer phones, work the processes, manage the clients and have high level conversations. And then I went from managing that inside sales route to the full on acquisitions, outside sales, door to door, belly to belly transactions. I had a team of about 35 acquisition managers around the time that, it wasn't just me. It was a massive, massive operation, but I got the privilege to fail and fall and learn and adapt and adjust and overcome. And I learned a lot in the 5 years that I was there. It was very, very quick learning, very, very quick pivoting. We used to make jokes. We're going 99 miles an hour down the interstate trying to change a flat tire. And that is very true. That is what it feels like all the time. And my goal now is to help real estate investors, real estate entrepreneurs not live that and not wear that as a badge of honor. Because if I could go back, I would do things a little bit differently. I wouldn't do a lot of it differently, but those things, burning the candle at both ends, overextending myself, micromanaging my sales team, those are things that I would 100% do over and have learned now how to do it more efficiently and more effectively. Hindsight, right? It's 2020. So we're going to talk. Am I good to go? Am I ready? All right. We're going to talk a little bit about negotiations 101. You guys, I am a teacher at heart, and I'm a coach. And so there's a difference between teaching and coaching, and I'm going to blend a little bit together. So I just kind of want to set the expectations for how I'm going to show up for you today. As a teacher, I'm going to teach you guys concepts. I'm going to teach you, critical things that will help you. But I am going to ask questions and I'm going to ask for engagement because the coaching part of this is you learning and developing and processing what I'm saying. My goal is that you take away, like I said, some really clear communication tools that will help you build bridges with whoever you are doing business with. I know that most of you guys are not doing direct to seller, right? Like belly to belly sales. A lot of you guys are not, but you are interacting with agents. You are interacting with other wholesalers. You are interacting with investors. You are interacting with sellers on somebody is. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So negotiations, I'm going to pitch slap them so hard. I'm about to pitch slap you guys. So I showed this image to my husband. And I was like, is this too much? And he was like, no, it's great. And so this whole concept, the whole thing that we're going to talk about is we're not going to be pitch slapping people anymore. We're going to be rethinking our sales conversation for a world that's really over the pitch. People don't want to be pitched. No one wants to be pitched, especially not in this industry anymore. So today I'm going to show you guys a negotiation approach that doesn't rely on pressure, posturing, or outdated sales scripts. Instead, you're going to learn how to create strategic alignment. So whether you're working with a seller, agent, a wholesaler, another buyer, you become the person that they trust over and over and over again to close. Make sense? Are y'all with me?
Yes.
Can I get an amen? We're in a church, sorry. All right, so the critical mindset shifts. We're going to start with shifting our brains, okay? So everything that you think you know, I just want you to table it for just a minute. And instead of thinking, this is not true, this will never work for me, I've done this my whole life, I know what I'm doing. Instead of thinking that, I want you to ask yourself, why might this work? Why might this be right? If we can look at this content through that lens, I promise you, you will have something that you can take into every team in your life. Whether, like I said, it's your marriage, your children, your blah, blah, blah. Okay. So the old belief in sales is that we have to control the conversation. We have to, the ABCs. You guys ever heard of the ABCs? You see this watch? That's Alec Baldwin. Always be closing. Always be closing. This is the sales 101 approach. Close is going to close. Always be closing. The one call close is the goal. This is the old belief. I'm going to tell you guys that the new belief that we're going to look at this through, this lens and this content, is through this concept of co-navigation. We're going to co-navigate the conversation, not negotiate the conversation. We're always going to be communicating. We have a new set of ABCs. Always be communicating. Because when you show up, focus on the communication and the process. It's that field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. Right? When you focus on the process, the results will follow. Versus when you focus on the close, whatever it is you're trying to close, right? People are going to feel pressured. They're going to feel like you're in it for you. You're not in it for them. You're not co-navigating. You are negotiating. The next mindset that we're going to change is this concept that we have to persuade people. We have to persuade our sellers, and the objections are obstacles to overcome. Objections are not obstacles. They are opportunities for us to learn more about who we're talking to. So pressure does not equal progress. The old belief says, "Oh, this is touchscreen. Hey, hey." I'm like writing on it, I think. Okay. Okay, there we go. The old belief says pressure equals progress. Our new belief is we're going to learn to listen generously. There's a difference between active listening and listening generously. Active listening means that we are listening with the intent to respond. Listening generously means we are listening authentically to give and to serve. That's what we're here to do, to serve our customers, to serve our prospects, to serve our spouse, to serve our children. That's what we were put here to do. So we're going to talk about understanding is the influence of foundation. So we're going to go from the energy of Wolf of Wall Street with the conversion rate of a timeshare booth at an airport to, somebody mentioned Chick-fil-A, can you tell we're in the South? The heart of a therapist, the precision of a sniper, and the close rate of Chick-fil-A at lunchtime. I use the reference like Boondock Saints, like I need a sniper in one arm and a shotgun in the other when we're talking about sales. So, okay. All right. So, why most negotiations start too late? Most people start this negotiation process once we get the number. Once the offer is made, that's when we would say, this is when the negotiation starts. In my experience with the people that I've worked with, this is where most people begin. This is the old belief that negotiation starts once the offer is made. After we've discovered what it is, after we've had a conversation and we've built rapport, we get their number, and we know Sales 101 tells us whoever gets the number first loses. Whoever gets the number first loses. And so this is the mindset of current negotiations, what most people think. What I'm going to tell you is where we should start negotiation is in the discovery phase. So everything that we're about to talk about, all the tools, all the things, is going to be based off of this lens that negotiations, regardless of if, like I said, you're talking to an agent, direct to seller. I keep going backwards. This way, Jenny. Whether you're talking to direct to seller, it is going to be from the very beginning of your conversation. That is when negotiation starts, from the very beginning. So where most people start after the offer is made, they treat negotiation like it's damage control instead of directional discovery. When the seller objects, the objection means, oh my gosh, panic mode, right? Your heart rate goes up, you start sweating, knees weak, palms are sweaty. I'm sorry, I need to stop. I'm ridiculous. So now they feel the need to overcome instead of understand. So most salespeople feel this pressure, and I see it. You can see it in their face. You can hear it in their voice. You've experienced. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced that feeling. Just start. Okay, thank you. Amen. Hallelujah. When urgency kicks in, we feel the need to tap into negotiation when we feel like the prospect is going closer to the no, when we need to tap into that urgency. So we wait until it's time to close, and then we start negotiations from scarcity instead of from clarity. Does that make sense? And then when salespeople are emotionally triggered, that's usually when they tap into negotiation. When they get triggered, you ever gotten sassy with a seller or another agent? Just because you felt emotionally triggered, you felt pressured by something that they said, or you felt, I don't know what you felt, but I have felt that way before. So when the seller hesitates or pushes back or says, I need to think about it, we try to push harder, we try to dig deeper, we dig our heels in and we sink our claws in, and we're like, no, you're not gonna leave. You're gonna do business with me. And so we're gonna challenge that today. Where we should start is in the discovery. True negotiation begins the moment you start uncovering the seller's values, their priorities, their fears, and their context. It starts in alignment, not in defense. I use my marriage a lot in a lot of conversations, so we're going to get there, but I think about this in the context of a marriage. Like, man, when I have an issue, when we're talking about something and my husband gets defensive, like, this is not what I need in this moment. We need to be aligned so I can move past this frustration. So you're not just fighting to justify yourself, you're co-navigating a solution. I don't want to be in opposition of him. I want to be next to him. I want to be partnering with him. I want to be working through this problem to a solution together. It gets way worse when I have to fight you because I promise you I will win. Right? He'll be like, don't you treat me like one of y'all salespeople? Don't you sales train me? In the listening, negotiations happen in the listening. When you listen generously and you mirror the language, you create a psychological safety net. The seller actually starts to negotiate with themselves. It's such a key portion of all of this. When you listen, when you create that safety net, the seller isn't negotiating with you. They're negotiating amongst themselves. They're internally processing the external information. So in calm curiosity, not outcome obsession, we have got to detach ourselves from the need to win, from the need to sell, from the need to get a deal, from the need to close, and start aiming to understand. That's when true influence begins. That is where we start negotiating is in the understanding. Y'all with me? Fire hose. If you're like, tell me, Jenny, please slow down. I have questions, or I want to say something, or I have thoughts, okay? I'm all for healthy conflict and conversation. So, co-navigation. This is the new way to win without pushing. So you understand that negotiation is oftentimes this external tug of war between you and the seller. It's this battle that we have to fight to the death. And we get in and we're fighting away objections, and we're dealing with buyer's remorse, and we're slashing through pricing. I feel like Billy Mays. Okay, I'm sorry. So negotiation, it's not a battle. We have to shift from this battle, this tug of war, this push-pull, into this concept of co-navigation. So I use this analogy, I use this visual to show you that when we talk about negotiations, when we talk about co-navigation, we're not in opposition. We are on a tandem bike. Have any of you guys ever been on a tandem bike? Like one person on the stream? Yeah, no, yeah. The sales part, like the direct to seller. That's not surprising to me at all. All right, so a tandem bike. When you're on a tandem bike, like if one person goes this way, can the other person go that way? Absolutely not. You will wreck, you will die. You will die. So this concept of the tandem bike means that wherever our seller goes, we go. Wherever we go, our seller goes. And so whoever our seller is, when I say seller, just put whoever your who is in that phrase. Is that fair? Can I ask you guys to stick with me? I'm primarily training and coaching direct to seller conversations. So whoever is your who. So negotiation is adversarial. It has this win-lose mentality. It starts after objections happen. It's logic forward, emotionally deaf. It seeks control and leverage, often reactive and defensive, outcome obsessed, talks more than it listens, and treats people like numbers. And it pushes prices and terms. This is the nickel and dime song and dance. Well, could you do 27.5? Well, no. I mean, could you do, I could do 19.722. Like, come on. No one wants to do that. No one wins when we nickel and dime song and dance. I do this. No one wins when we do this. So our co-navigation approach is this collaborative win-win possibility. It starts during the discovery phase. It's emotionally intelligent. It's reflective. It seeks alignment and clarity. It's proactive. It's grounded. It's process committed. It listens more than it talks. It honors the human experience, and it grows trust and understanding. So I'm going to tell you guys a story. Are y'all with me? We're going to talk about Mrs. Jones. So Mrs. Jones is 85. She is a widow of about 1.5 years. She lives in a 3,500 square foot house. It's 2 stories. And she's had both of her knees replaced. I'm going to say it again. Mrs. Jones, 85, recent widow, 1.5 years. 2-story, 3,500 square foot house. Both of her knees replaced. What do we know about Mrs. Jones?
We can upstairs.
She can't go upstairs.
How does he that much space?
She doesn't need all the space.
She's 85.
What does that mean? She's old.
Yes.
What?
Probably already passed.
Her husband passed. Yeah, she's a widow. Anybody else got any guesses? What else do we know about her?
Might not be chasing money.
She might not be after the money. So oftentimes when I ask this question, this is exactly what happens. If I say, what is Mrs. Jones?
She's looking for convenience.
She might be looking for convenience.
Might need help relocating.
She might need help relocating. All of your baseline assumptions are true. I asked this question, what's her motivation to sell? Why does she want to sell?
Without fight. Convenience.
Convenience. Everybody tries to answer. You guys just told me her house is too big for her. She can't manage. She might need help relocating. She might want to simplify her life. She might not be after the dollar. You guys all made what? Assumptions. And assumptions make out of you and me, right? We all made the assumptions. Now, are we wrong in making those assumptions? Are we wrong in thinking bigger and thinking past? Absolutely not. What do we know about Mrs. Jones? Well, we do know something.
I would say take those assumptions and you try to ask more.
So we're going to take those assumptions and ask clarifying questions about them, which is what sales typically teaches. But what we know is that Mrs. Jones is, let's focus on the, what is it, adverb, action verb? I don't know. She is 85. She is a recent widow. The house is 3,500 square feet. It's a 2-story house, and she's had both of her knees replaced. Where do we know about her? We know where she is. We know exactly where she is. We know the information that she has given us. We know where she is. But what we don't know is why any of that matters and where she's trying to get to and what's the most important thing to her. Is my next slide on here? Did I do this? What does that say? So what we don't know is where she wants to be. So when we figure out where Mrs. Jones is, we're going to be asking her questions. Okay, most oftentimes people are like, okay, you're 85. Like, so you must be having, you're having a hard time getting around. Is maintaining the property difficult for you? What's it been like since your husband died? Are you lonely? Do you hear what type of questions those are? If I asked you, I'm going to say them again. Are you lonely? Are you having a hard time managing and maintaining the property? Are you tired? What kind of questions are those? They're emotional, they're assumptions, but really, am I curious? They're close-ended, but I'm taking those assumptions and essentially I'm preloading a gun and asking her to fire it, at herself. Does that make sense? They're loaded questions. They're not actually curious questions. Do I actually care what her answer to any of those things are? Or do I just want to hear her say, yes, I'm lonely? Is that what I want? The answer that I want. Sorry, microphone. Wolf of Wall Street over here. I want the answer that I want. I don't actually want to know Mrs. Jones's answer. I want to hear what I want to hear. I'm not listening generously. I'm actively listening. I'm listening for a response that she hopefully gives me. And I'm hoping to lead her to those answers by the questions that I'm asking. You guys ever seen Legally Blonde? Where Elle Woods is in the courtroom and she's like, so where you were in the shower? And you were in the shower when the gun was fired, where you were in the shower? And they're like, I think we have understood that she was in the shower. It's clear, right? That's what, to me, when I hear these leading questions, it's so focused on you and not the customer. It's so focused on hearing what you want to hear, not the actual clarity of the conversation. So we know where Mrs. Jones is. What we don't know is where she wants to be. And so when it comes to understanding true motivation, understanding this concept that motivation is gives us the direction. Without it, we're guessing. And oftentimes we hear things like, oh, she's 85. She's got both of her knees replaced. Her husband's a widow. The house is too big for her. It's a 2-story, 3,500 square foot house. She needs me. She needs help. Right? That's what we hear. But the reality could be completely different. Her reality could be like, I'm so glad I'm alone. My house is wonderful. I like my own space. It's been, you just don't know. And so don't make those assumptions. What we've got to figure out is where she wants to be. So true motivation, understanding this concept of what is driving our customers to move forward, our prospects to move forward. It is, this is where they are, and this is where they want to be. And this is the path that they think they need to walk down to get themselves there. I'm going to say that again because this concept is so important. And I think about this, and I've seen this play out in so many facets of my life. Everyone makes decisions. Everyone walks through a decision-making process in their life, whether it's you're deciding if you want to go eat Chick-fil-A for lunch or deciding if you want to come here. This is where I am. I'm an ER doctor. This is where I want to be. I want to be building my wealth through passive income and active income streams. What's my path to get there? Gulf Coast REI. This is a path that you decided to come down to figure out where you want to be in your life and to get there. The same with Mrs. Jones. This is where she is. Where if you ask her, where do you want to be, Mrs. Jones? Hey, once you decide to sell, whether it's to me or anybody else, what happens next? Well, let me tell you. My best friend, Peggy Sue, she lived down at the assisted living facility, Living Shoulders, and her sweet mate died last week, and so her room is available, and I'm telling you, if I don't get it, it's going to go. And I'm like, wow, that was a lot of information, Mrs. Jones. So instead of trying to pitch her on, man, you're so lonely. You're so lonely. Man, you know, you went from 2 incomes to 1, taking care of this big old household by yourself. That must be hard. Are those the things that are driving her to make the decision? No. Being at Living Shoulders, I don't know why. That's not an actual name. That's what comes to my head every time I train this or teach this. But Living Shoulders, assisted living facility, that's where she wants to be with Peggy Sue, playing bingo and sipping Mai Tais at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So this is where she is. This is where she wants to be. And the bigger the gap between where she is and where she wants to be, the bigger the gap, the more support that they need. I want you guys to think about a bridge. The more resources are needed. If the creek is small, if the gap is small, I just need a few pieces of wood. I need one stump and I can make it across the bridge versus like, I don't have the tools. If I got hurt, could I fix myself? Absolutely not. Like if I was severely injured, I'd have to go to the ER and see somebody like him. I could not fix myself. I don't have the skill set. I can't fix my car. My car breaks and I'm screwed, right? I don't have the skill set. I don't have the resources. Sometimes I don't have the money, right, to fix it myself. So our solutions are that bridge. This is where we are. This is where we want to be. The bigger the distance, the more resources are needed to move forward. So until you uncover where Mrs. Jones wants to be, any negotiations is premature. If you know her destination, then your offer can be a bridge, not a battle. That's not just better sales, it's truly deeper service. So even if you're negotiating with agents, wholesalers, partners, someone is talking to the Mrs. Jones of your deal. Someone is. And if they don't know where she wants to go, that deal loses momentum before it starts. So the two tools that will make you instantly more trusted. 2 tools for co-navigation, listening generously and language mirroring. Now, I already talked a little bit about what listening generously is and a little bit about what we understand active listening to be. When we talk about active listening, it's things like, we'll lean in. You know, when they're talking, lean in. Don't cross your arms so you don't seem like you're closed off, right? Lean in, nod your head. I think about this concept of active listening. I trained and hired hundreds of people at the company that I worked for. And I remember AJ, she's outside now. But we recorded our interviews and I'd have to go back and break it down and like learn, right? Review my game tape of interviewing because I wanted to be a phenomenal hiring manager. And so I remember going back and listening to my interview and looking at myself and asking, man, you look like a bitch, right? You look a little bit rude. And that's not your heart. And that's not how you want to be perceived or received. So like, you got to change something, Jennie Hudspeth. And AJ, literally, she was the one who told me, Jennie, you need to go back and watch that video. You need to go back and watch that because it was rough. And I said, yes, ma'am. So I did. I went back and I learned. And so this concept, she said, you don't have to nod your head. You look like you're a clueless, insecure little 26-year-old. And that was the truth. I did. I was in that hiring interview and I was like, these are men, mostly 15 years my senior, and I'm trying to hire them. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I hear what you're saying. Yep. and I looked crazy. And so this concept, what I had always been taught was active listening, was to lean in, look engaged, to change your tone, to change your posture. Those were all the tools. I was trying to apply what I had learned. Until I learned this concept of listening generously, it really changed the whole game for me. And like I said, primarily, I learned this from a sales coach, really a life coach, but we were talking about my marriage. We were not even talking about sales to begin with. She said, Jennie, you've got to learn to listen generously. And I was like, ooh, I love that. What is that? And when you think of generosity, it's this concept of giving of yourself. It's this concept of giving without expecting anything in return. It's listening to understand, not listening to respond, and listening without filters. So I teach this a lot. I have two babies. I have a 4-year-old little boy and a 7-month-old little girl. They're so cute. And when I was working in the corporate world, like in an office in the corporate America world, I went back to work after my first baby was born 4 weeks after I had him, because I was managing a really large sales team. I went back and kind of that first week back, my husband called me one day. Ring, ring, ring. And I was like, hello. And he said, hey, baby, don't forget the diaper bag. 5 words. And I was like, sorry, Michael. That's how I felt. I literally was like, how dare you call me and tell me not to forget the one thing that our child needs to survive? The first thing in the morning, the week that I'm going back to work, like you think that my head is so far up my butt that I'm going to forget my bottle, the diapers, the things that our child needs to survive. You think I'm that stupid? You think I'm that bad of a mom? All right, hear me. Y'all don't get lost in my craziness. And my poor husband, that's what you're thinking. Do you think I'm that bad of a mom? And I said, what I just heard you say is you're a bad mom. What you guys don't know is that when I was little, my mom left, right? My dad, I was raised by a single dad. And so the lens that I heard his words through were through that of a wounded little girl. I heard, you're a bad mom. And that's not what he meant. And so he said, whoa, 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 whoa. That is not what I meant. He said, let me try again. Let me tell you why. He said, honestly, Jennie, I don't care about the diaper bag. I just called so that I could be relevant in your morning. And then I was like, oh, you just wanted to hear me say, I love you. Like, oh, well, I love you. And he was like, you're not a bad mom. You're a superwoman. I'm like, well, you're important too. You know, like it was just this whole reframe moment, right? Instead of being in opposition with each other, we were co-navigating, because I shared what I heard you say and he shared what I'm actually trying to say. And the 5 words were, don't forget the diaper bag. What he intended to say and what I heard, 2 completely different things. And the 5 words that he chose to communicate were not even the words that he meant. So recognize how much noise is external, how much noise is internal, and how much communication is so skewed. What you say and what other people are hearing you say are often 2 completely different things. So this concept of listening generously is really listening to understand, not to respond. And language mirroring is a tool that we can use to get clarity in that discovery phase, in the co-navigation phase, in the conversations that we're having. Language mirroring is taking the language that someone is saying and then asking a clarifying question. Y'all with me? Am I losing you? I know this is fire hose. Y'all with me? Okay. So language mirroring is this concept of, so when we go into this conversation with most people, oftentimes if you're direct to seller, the first kind of starting point question that I train and that I believe in, it's an open-ended question. What can you tell me about yourself and the property? Because people, when you ask them a question, oftentimes they're going to talk about what's most important to them first. They're going to tell you what's most important to them first. So the question that we ask is, what can you tell me about yourself and the property? And if you were to ask me that, what can you tell me about yourself and the property? I would tell you, well, you know, my house, it's a 3-2, 1,600 square foot house. It's a little yellow house on a corner lot. It's got Chicago split brick floors, and it's got hardwood floors downstairs. We put new carpet in. I mean, what else do you want to know? I got 2 babies, a husband, 2 cats. Like a ferret? No, I don't have a ferret. I'm just kidding. So those are the things that I would share with you if you asked me that question. So what did you guys hear me say? What did I say? What specifically did you hear? Were you listening generously? 3-2, not split brick yet. 3-2.
Yellow house.
There was a yellow house, but there was something else in between there. It is a 2-story. So this is where we have to train ourselves to engage right here, because I just told you what people share with you. First is the most important, and we all heard the end. I did talk about the house first, but the specifics matter. What was the most important to me? You said it. What was the first thing I said? It's a 3-2. And then I said it's 1,600 square feet. Okay, so if you told me, hey, listen, if you took that information and you were writing it down as I was talking, which is helps us write, get a tool, you would have said, okay, Jennie, we know that what you talk about first matters the most to you. So I'm going to lean in at the first thing that you said, not focus on the last thing that you said, because the last thing that I said was irrelevant. I put carpet in my house. Like, I don't give a shit about the carpet. You know what I mean? So the first thing I said was a 3-2. Jennie, you said that the house is a 3-2. Is that the right size for you and your family or the wrong size? Okay, now, wow, what a great question. I have 2 children, a 4-year-old and a 7-month-old, a husband and 2 cats, and a 1,600 square foot 2-story patio home. My child, who is 4, comes up to here on me, and he is 47 pounds, and he can't go outside and play. I work from home, which wasn't the case. I bought that house with no children and a career in corporate America. Now I work from home, and I'll tell you this, since I've had both of my children, my dad and my stepmom, they come and stay with us quarterly, once a month, every quarter. Now you guys are cringing. I'm obsessed. I love it so much. My dad cooks me eggs and steak for breakfast. It's amazing. He takes care of my kids. I don't have to drive them anywhere. It's amazing. So I basically have live-in grandparents, 4 months out of a 12-month year. So I am running out of room. And when my dad comes, they have 2 birds. Yeah, I know. Y'all are like, ooh, that says a lot. They do. They have 2 birds. So anyway, this concept is, if you would have just asked me that first question, what's most important, 3-2, you just opened up an avenue of problems with one question. I told you my house is a 3-2. Most of you guys would be like, check, got it. Locked in there. I know what a 3-2 means, but you don't know what it means to me. And you don't know why it's important to me. And if any of you would ask me what's happening in your world, I would tell you, I need a new house. I need some more space. So the rules of engagement for listening generously, these are some rules. Y'all understand the concept? If you would have asked me 1,600 square feet, is that big or little? I would tell you it's little. If you would have said, hey, how do you like the 2-story? Well, I would tell you that my stepmom and my dad are in their 60s and they have a hard time getting up and down the stairs. So my next house, I'm going to be a flat, ugly ranch. It's fine. That's what I'm going to need. Anyway, you see how the first 3 things that I said were so important to me. And if we just dial in and listen and ask one additional question, it opens up a can of worms. So these are the rules for listening generously and language mirroring. These are so important. I believe in these so much. You guys, I'm a passionate human. I don't think you guys can tell. These are things that these are 4 rules that I have built painstakingly and have learned painstakingly through. And they seem simple, but true application of these things is a little bit more difficult. So the first rule, where I learned, I don't know, how much time do I have? Can y'all keep me on time? Because I'll talk. You're good. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I learned, this concept of it's not about me, I was managing about 15 people at the time, 15 high-level salespeople, and they were killing me slowly. It was a lot to handle, and I was really struggling. And I felt like, I was waking up and I was going to bed thinking, I care so much, and these guys don't care about their own success. Like, why do I care more about their success than they do? Why do I want them to be more successful than they even want to be successful? And I was carrying their weight and their responsibility around on my back. And I had 14 people's 45-pound backpacks on my back. And I was trying to carry them up a mountain by myself independently, trying to drive revenue for a company and trying to manage the sales team effectively. And my sales coach looked at me and he said, Jennie, it's not about you. I want you to write this down and I want you to ingrain it in your membrane. Ingrained in the membrane. Ingrained in the brain. He said, I want you to ingrain this in your brain. It's not about me. Everything that you do I was trying to solve problems. I was trying to bridge gaps in the business. I was trying to think, hey, what problems are we? What do they need? What do I think they need? right? What do I think my kid needs? What do I think my husband needs? Instead of saying, Michael, what support do you need? What support do you need? Not how can I help you, right? How can I help you? Who's that about? Me versus what support do you think you need? Because if you think you need something, then I can come alongside you and support you or challenge it or question it or have a high level conversation around it. So the first rule is it's not about me. We have got to detach from my agenda and attach to their world. What's important to you? What's important now? If you want to win conversations, what's important now? You guys will hear me at networking events. So I literally did this. I said, hey, what do you do? Tell me about you. And I said, no, that's the wrong question. What matters most to you right now? What's important now? It's a way better question. I don't care what you buy. I don't care who you talk to. I want to know what's important to you, and can I serve you? Can I support you? Can I come alongside you? Can I engage with you? Is there anything that I can do to connect to you or to connect you to other people? What's important now? It's not about me. Detach from the agenda, attach to their world. The second thing that we know in sales is if we say it, it's false. If they say it, it's true. So let them own the insight. You're the mirror, not the megaphone. If we say it, it's false. If they say it, it's true. So instead of being like, oh, you're so tired. Hey, how are you feeling? How's it going? I'm so tired. It means more. You have to ask all those things that you had insights and assumptions of about Mrs. Jones. She's tired. She's lonely. She's got medical bills. She's Mrs. Jones. How has it been with the finances? How has it been since Mr. Jones died? And they will tell you. They will tell you. Instead of being like, I'm sure it's been hard. She will say it's been hard. It matters more. Let them own the insight. We ask questions. We don't make statements. So if you catch yourselves ending your sentence in a period, not a question mark, you are shooting yourself in the foot. You are underselling. You are costing yourself money, time, and energy. So every thought that you have that's like, man, this might be their why, instead of making a statement, if we can just reframe our statements, because we're not idiots. You guys are smart people. I know it. Y'all are here. If we can just take those statements and turn them into questions, we will win more business. Clarity doesn't come from assumptions. It comes from curiosity. We've already learned that. Seek to understand before being understood. When you rush to be heard, you lose the right to influence. Guys, I could cry telling you this. I think about my kids. Seek to understand before being understood. I can't tell you how many times I fail at this on a daily basis with my 4-year-old. I mean, these are life lessons. These are hard fought lessons that I have learned. Seek to understand before being understood. When you rush to be heard, you lose the right to influence. So if I rush and I talk over my son and I assume that he was doing something stupid because he's stupid, he's going to close off. And I'm not going to be able to influence him as he grows up. And that breaks my heart to no end. I do not want to be that mom. And I find myself being that mom so often. So challenge accepted for me. The starting question, y'all remember the starting question? What can you tell me about yourself and the property? Mrs. Jones, we're going to go back to Mrs. Jones. Mrs. Jones, it's a 3-2, 3,500 square foot, has a garden. My husband passed away. The old sales approach, wow, that's a big house. It must be hard to keep up with on your own. Sounds like you're ready to downsize. Hey, we help people like you all the time. You're just the right person for me. We help people like you all the time.
Through stress, how many statements do you give us?
I mean, I just lost, what did she hear? You're a salesperson. She heard sharp, donna, 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 grandma house stealer. That's what she heard. She did not hear she's here to help me. So, Mrs. Jones, tell me about the property. Hey, it's a 3-2, blah, blah, blah. Hey, I know you mentioned it's a 3-2. Has it started to feel too big, or do you still really enjoy the space? Right? Hey, you said it has a garden. Can you tell me more about that? Can I tell you guys one of my favorite phrases in the whole world is just tell me more. Tell me more. It's so simple, and people love to talk, and they love to tell you about what's important to them. Tell me more. Hey, your husband passed away. this is just kind of one of those like golden nuggets that have like kind of stuck with me that I've learned. I can't stand when people are like, oh, I'm so sorry, or like I went through a divorce. Oh, I'm so sorry. Or like it doesn't feel, it just feels weird, you know? That's just like a uncomfortable, when we get met with an uncomfortable situation, like the death of someone or a divorce or something that's perceived bad, instead of saying like, hey, I'm so sorry. Hey, would you like to talk more about that? If we can just stop with because we made an assumption with the I'm sorry. Like, what? I don't know. This is dramatic, but like, what if her husband was like a wife beater? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know y'all stick with me. I know. But anyway, just can you tell me more? You know, would you like to talk more about that? From clarity to close, how to build their bridge. Building their bridge is this concept of what needs to happen. So the negotiations 101 piece, this is what you guys are all here for. It's like, how do I even close the deal? You've told me how to have the discovery phase. You told me how to listen. You've told me how to ask questions. You gave me rules for engagement. But how do I take them and connect the two? This is where they are and this is where they want to be. It's the bridge. This is the bridge. And it's really, okay, Mrs. Jones, this is where you are. You've told me that you live in a 3-2, 3,500 square foot, 2-story house, and you're a widow and you've had your knees replaced. And we've talked about the things that are important to you, that, you know, that you can't get out in the garden anymore. And so the garden's grown up and it makes you sad. You know, we've talked about the house and that you haven't been upstairs in 4 months. And we talked about, you know, the, I don't know, cleaning. And you don't have money to hire someone to come clean. And so the house is turned into a hoarder house. Also, don't be scared to label things what they are. I think it gives you more credibility. I mean, obviously don't be rude, but call a spade a spade. Like, it's turned into a hoarder house. And she's like, yeah, you're 100% right. And so we talked about all of those things. This is where you are. And we talked about being with Peggy Sue is really the ultimate goal for you. Mrs. Jones, what do you think you need to do to get to Peggy Sue? No, that's profound. I hope you heard it. Not, this is what I think you need to do. Mrs. Jones, what do you think you need to do? What needs to happen next? What do you think you need to do? So this or that questions, these are 2 tools for building your bridge. This or that questions, it helps them weigh their own options out loud without you pushing either way. So it would sound something like this. Mrs. Jones, in order to get to Peggy Sue, what would you rather get, the highest price or the simplest process? Mrs. Jones, in order to get to Peggy Sue, do you need to move quickly or is your timing flexible? Mrs. Jones, is this more about peace of mind or maximizing value? Understand the concept of this or that. It's just giving them, it's like we have the scales. What we're trying to figure out is what are their scales for decision making? You guys have ever heard the concept of time, energy, money, right? In order to transact, like most people, when it comes to housing decisions, they're considering and weighing their options. How much time, how much energy, how much money? And so a lot of times I'll say, hey, listen, most people are thinking through, how much time is this going to cost me? How much energy is this going to cost me? And how much money is this going to cost me? If you had to rank those things and rate them on a scale of most important to least important, how would you rate them? Okay, Mrs. Jones, what I'm hearing you say is, you know, in order for you to get at Peggy Sue, would you rather get the highest price or have the simplest process? Right? So we're taking that concept of time, energy, and money and asking clarifying questions. Do I care what she says? I mean, yes, I do. I want to hear her. And I ultimately want to be the bridge that connects her from where she is to where she wants to be. But I don't have to make that decision for her. She does. I always say you can't make a duck a dog. Like, if it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, it's a fucking duck. You know? I'm sorry, excuse my language. It was a joke. But you understand, like, if Peggy Sue, for what I did primarily, which is wholesale single family real estate, we're not the best option. She's not going to get the most amount of money. We're usually most people's last option. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that it's a bad option. And that doesn't mean that I'm a grandma house stealer for presenting her with this option. You know what I'm saying? Like, people want to change. They want to get out of where they are and go somewhere else. The next one is just decision clarity questions, which reveals how they're actually thinking beyond what they're saying. Hey, what needs to happen in your mind before you feel ready? How will you know when the time is right? What's the biggest thing that you're weighing right now? What options have you explored? What avenues have you already gone down? What about that avenue made it the first avenue? What about that avenue made it the second avenue? What about that made the most sense to you? What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? Usually this is the time when I see salespeople's eyes gloss over because they're like, my time is money. My time is money. And so usually what happens is we spend a really short amount of time in the discovery phase so that we can get to the negotiations, and we shortchange ourselves, and we get to the end of the conversation and we don't want to spend this time doing it, and we get soft yeses or soft nos, we get verbally accepted. And then what happens? They ghost us. And then we're going into follow-up. Would you rather spend your time following up, sending text messages, burning down their cell phones, leaving voicemails, sending emails, like begging for business, or spend the next just 20 minutes more truly getting to the meat of the conversation, taking your time? Because now at the end of this conversation, she's either going to know, yes, that is the way, your way is the way that I want to go, transparently with clarity, or it's not. And if she decides to go down another route and it doesn't work, guess where she's going to come? She's going to come back to me. She's going to say, you know what, Jennie, you were right. And I just cost myself time and energy and money. And I should have listened. And I'm going to say, what held you back? What was it? Like, do you mind inviting me into your brain? So anyway, the end goal is to help your seller or agent or whoever, wholesaler, express how they're making their decision. A sales process is a decision-making process. Negotiations are just weighing the scales and helping the customer figure out this or that. You get what I'm saying? It's not a battle. It's not a grind. It doesn't have to be painstaking, this nickel and dime song and dance. It is a co-navigation. It is a tandem bike ride. So when we help them express how they're making their decisions, that's where urgency lives, because now Mrs. Jones has told me all of the pain points and all the problems that she's facing, all the avenues that she's explored, all of the options that are available to her. And she just expressed them out loud to a stranger. So what is she thinking? Oh my gosh, how did I let myself get to this point? How did I let it get this far? I got to do something. Do you understand that? That she just went through the mental exploration process. And so that's where the urgency came from. And like, how many people do you know can tell you all of their problems, bare their soul, and then not do anything about it? That's where the urgency comes in. Urgency doesn't come from your pitch. It comes from their clarity. Clarity happens when you stop selling and you start co-navigating. Negotiation isn't a battle, it's a journey. That's all I got for you guys. Now I'm open to questions. Obviously. If there are any. Yes.
I see. This is kind of a selling story. Like,
yeah.
Versus selling all the time. You know, she was fired up, like, you know, cold call. With,
yeah.
How do you keep that motivation, that feeling? That's a huge amount.
Well, you have to know what you're in this business for, I think. Why'd you get into wholesaling in the first place? What's your why? Now, I'm not asking you to explain that out loud in front of this room full of strangers, but when I think about why I love what I do and why I get up and do this every day, I think about number one, the salespeople that I get to impact and that I get to challenge to be better versions of themselves, right? Like I get to challenge people like you. But what you guys get to do is you get to go out and you get to help homeowners actually take action. And these people that you're dealing with primarily as a wholesaler are not people who tend to have resources, education, money, time, energy. They're not usually people who have those things readily available. Like you actually get to improve lives and elevate the community that you're operating in. Like you are single-handedly buying a house. Maybe you're buying it and wholesaling it for someone to invest in it and flip to put another tenant in, but like you are creating an environment where other people can thrive. And that's why I love what I do, because I genuinely believe that you get to help people like Mrs. Jones. who would die there alone.
Yeah.
She would. Say it again.
Kind of what you said earlier. It's not just about you.
No, it's not about you getting the deal. It's literally the big picture. Why did you even get in this business in the first place? I think it's really important for solopreneurs. Like if I could get you down to like just the root, like circumvent all the bull crap and get to that first question. If you can answer that first, obviously financial freedom and but like why? What gets you energized? What gives you energy? What about this gives you energy? Why is this what you want to do? If you can chase that down, I think that is one of the most important things you can do in your life. Great question. Go ahead.
For some of us who are agents, I'm wondering if you have any advice for us, because a lot of times we are receiving offers without having any of this context that you are talking about in this presentation. And I'm wondering if you have any advice, like how can we better negotiate? Because sometimes like I have a listing and I just get these offers and I have like maybe 5 pieces of information.
Yeah.
And then we're just sitting there trying to guess how to counter this offer, but we really don't know any of the context behind the offer. And I'm just wondering if you have any advice for us.
I knew this question was going to come up and I have the answer. What's the starting question? What was the starting question I told you? Anybody remember? What can, say it again, you had it. What can you tell me?
Yeah, what can you tell me about your house,
Yourself and the property. What can you tell me about yourself and the property? That's the starting point for direct to seller. For you, I'm calling the agent and I'm saying, hey, what can you tell me about your seller and the property? Your seller and the offer. What can you tell me about it? Yeah. What can you tell me? That's honestly, because they're gonna give you oftentimes what's most important to them. They're not gonna show you their whole hand, but what can you tell me opens the door to a deeper conversation. And then also, I believe in like radical transparency, and maybe that sounds kooky kachuki, but like I would let them know, hey, listen, I'm trying to create a counteroffer for you. What's the most important thing now? You know what I'm saying? Like the story I'm telling myself is this is important. Is that true? You know what I'm saying? This is the story in my head. What's the reality?
Right.
So that's how I would communicate if I was an agent, communicating with other agents. Hey, listen, I know you got a story. I'm not asking you to show me your whole hand, but what can you tell me? And I'm trying to create an offer, and the story that I'm telling myself is this is the most important thing to your buyer. Is my story even close? Am I even in the right ballpark or in the right book? I hope that helps. Does that give you? Okay, cool. I don't really deal with agents much.
Just a comment. Great presentation. I need to learn these things, and the thing with your kid, I do that all the time. I need to just be quiet and let the conversation happen, because I want to talk more than I listen. Yeah. And one of the things, just as a comment, realize that selling is a journey. It is, and negotiations is a journey. I talked to one of my clients today who comes to this meeting on a regular basis. She's not able to come, and my business partner's not here. I just sent them pictures of my food, a picture of this group, and about 6 of those slides so that they were here. So I'm selling right now by passively bringing them into this group, which is kind of it's a journey. It's little touches. It is just being able to touch your clients with things that are important to them that may not be so important to you.
100%. And it's just about asking them what journey are they on and not assuming the journey that they're on. You know what I'm saying? Like I managed, like I said, 35 high-level sales guys and a couple of girls. And I was perceived as this know-it-all, I think, originally. It's not surprising to me at all. I'm a perfectionist. I'm a learner. I love this stuff, and I get passionate and I get bought in. But I was perceived as a know-it-all. My sales team did not want to listen to me. They didn't want to engage with me, and I had to shift. I had to figure out a way to communicate with them. And so when I stopped trying to give them what I thought they needed, and I started asking them, hey, what do you want to do this year? What are you trying to accomplish? What actually are you marching towards? And most of them had financial revenue goals that they would tell me. And then I could take that revenue goal and I could help them figure out, okay, well, where are you? This is where you want to be, that revenue goal. Where are you? And what do you think that you need to do to get there? And let's create a path forward together, right? I want to bring home 200,000. Okay, how many deals do you need to close to do that? What needs to happen so you can hit 200,000? And what do you think needs to happen? And they're going to tell me I need to close X amount of deals. I'm like, okay, in order to close those amount of deals, how many offers do you need to make? How many conversations do you need to have? Like, if we trace it down to what do you need to do today? Do you know? And if you don't know, then what the heck are you doing? You know what I mean? We're wasting time, energy, and money. So if you know that that's what you want to do, let's reverse engineer it down to what's happening now, and then we can create that path forward together. And then they would say, I need, something crazy like I need, 50 deals. I'm like, okay, how are we going to get there together? What support do you need in order to get that? And they would tell me, well, I think I need to be better at this. I think I need that. I think I need this. And then as a manager, I could give them what they asked for instead of what I thought they needed. So it's working with a team is it's a whole can of worms. But I applaud you and commend you for just caring about them and wanting them to be here and wanting them to educate themselves. I was telling Ashley, I cannot believe that a 21-year-old senior in college is here and had the gumption to call up a company and say, I want to intern for you. She didn't even live here. She moved here with friends. Like, it's insane. Anyway, what other questions do you guys have? If any, please ask questions if you got them.
Do you remember the diaper bag?
I did. And we joke about it all the time now. My husband will say, don't forget the diaper bag, and I'll say, you're not important. You're not important to me.
I think a scenario that real estate get a lot now since the kind of the battle has the battlefield has changed. There's decoupling of commissions, and there's a lot of changes going on in the real estate world.
On the agent side, okay. I'll do my best. So I'm gonna sit. Is that okay, you guys? I'm dying.
A lot of like what you're saying is how the commissions are out of the table, like when it comes to advertising. A lot of these buyers, you say you're a listing agent, you're selling some of this property. A lot of these agents come in and they will ask you about the commission up front right away. How would you go about that?
What question are they asking specifically?
How much
are you making?
How much commission is your seller willing to give for to give the buyer's agent? That's basically one of the corporate things going on there, not a conversation.
Yes.
And I had the conversation after I arguments with other kids.
So again, it goes back to those rules. I didn't put this rule up there because it's hard to explain a little bit, but I'm glad you asked this question. The fifth rule, I have 5 and I only put 4. Not because I wanted to withhold from you, but like I said, it's a difficult one. Don't answer unasked questions. And so a lot of times somebody will ask a question and we will make an assumption as to what they're asking instead of asking for clarity. So what's your seller willing to give in commissions? I would say, what's important to you about that question? Like, what's important to you about that? Tell me more. Like, ask them questions. You don't have to give them an answer right away without clarity. And a lot of times that will stump them. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, what's important to you about that question? What's important to your seller? What are you trying to accomplish?
I'm the buyer to say.
Well, I'm sorry. My words are, when I say seller, I mean end person, whoever it is. So just ignore my language mistakes. But the rule is we don't answer unasked questions. And essentially that just means that when someone did you forget the diaper bag? Like, what are you asking? You know what I'm saying? Like, don't answer the question that they're asking. Get clarity on why it's important, what's significant to them about it. Like, when can you close? I had this happen with a seller, direct to seller, right? Our rep said slow down, Jenny. The homeowner said, hey, listen, like, when can we close? And he was like, well, we can close as soon as 7 days. Like, we can close as quickly as possible. And she was like, okay. And then we left. And you know what happened? She sold the property to our competitor because they gave her 90 days. Could we have closed in 90 days? Would we have preferred to close in 90 days? So he answered the wrong question. He did not understand and ask her, why is that question important to you? What's significant about the timeline? What timeline are you on? What's significant to you about that? Before I answer and make an assumption that you want to close quickly or for convenience, she wanted to wait.
Okay.
So-
Can we pay it out then? Can we pay it out?
Yeah, I'll do my best. I remember I'm not, I mean, the concepts I understand. I'll try to apply it. Let's go.
Okay, so.
So you call me and I have tell me the frame up.
You're the listing agent.
So I listed the property. I have a homeowner who I'm advocating to try to get as much money for as possible.
That's right.
Okay.
And I call you and I say, hey, Jenny, how are you? My name is Marco Toledo. I'm with eXp Realty.
I'm Marcus. We can't hear you.
Okay. Hi, my name is Marco Toledo. I'm with eXp Realty. I see that you have a house at 123 Main Street
For sale.
I have interested buyers. What I want to know is how much commission is your seller willing to give me to help you close this deal?
Yeah, that's a really great question. I get asked that a lot. Usually when someone asks me that question, they're actually trying to accomplish something completely different. What are you trying to accomplish, Marco?
I'm trying to close this deal.
Okay. What information do you need in order to make that happen?
Well, we looked at the property, and my buyers are very interested in the property. However, knowing the circumstances that we're in, they're worried about how they're going to pay, my commission. And so what I would like to know is how much is your seller willing to give in the commissions in order so I could formulate a official offer to you guys.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I'm hearing you right. When you say that they're worried about paying your commissions, what do you mean?
Well, what I mean is basically with the current situation that we're in, buyers are now, we have an agreement, right? At 3% in order to, that they're willing to pay me. Is that something that your seller's willing to do?
So it doesn't really sound like the commission is the biggest issue here. What I'm hearing you say is that the price of this property is the most important thing to your buyer?
Well, they're good with the price. Is what's happening is what out-of-pocket costs they're going to have in order to close this deal. Because
Okay.
they have to pay the commission, and that's not part of the deal. That's not part of the price at this court.
So if nothing changes, what would be the path forward?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Could you help me with that? I mean, is that something that your sellers are willing to do? Pay my commission?
So I wish that I was more versed in these conversations. Because where my brain goes here, I'm a talk it out human, is that
I like what you did there, by the
what's most important to your buyer is really where I want to go with this, because if paying less out of pocket is the most important, then I'm going to increase my purchase price, right? Like this concept is like Chris Voss has never split the difference. Hey, listen, like it's not, I don't want to nickel and dime myself. So would your buyer be willing to pay, $297, $265 to come, would they be willing to pay $265 to come out of pocket less? I think I would be willing to. I mean, am I crazy? That's honestly, so I'm not splitting my difference. I'm not taking money out of I'm not splitting my difference. I'm splitting yours. If that's what's most important to your buyer, then hey, listen, like we all want to have our cake and eat it too. Would your buyer be willing to pay this amount of money is that, and I wouldn't even ask. I would just say, hey, listen, it sounds like in order for this deal to work, the path forward really is changing the purchase price.
And maybe this is throwing a little wrench here.
I don't know. That's where my head goes.
But currently, right now, and maybe people disagree, but we're kind of going into a stable market, even more towards a buyer's market. Would you guys kind of agree? So right now, getting the sellers, highs and best is really a lot more difficult based off of the current circumstances that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Higher interest rates.
Again, so it matters how you're positioning and pitching the property, like how you're formulating what you're going to be listing the property for, and all of those things from the other side to include some of those things. I just feel like the negotiations are, I'm not trying to split my difference. I'm going to figure out what's important, what's most important now. Hey, in order for you to win, I might even use that language. Hey, listen, in order for you and your buyer to win, what's important now?
Well, the thing is Jenny, my buyer's max is the list price that you're asking.
Yeah.
So how can we,
Well, it sounds like this might not be the right property.
How can we?
I've got what I'm hearing that you say is this might not be the best property suited for you guys. Have you?
Buyers are really
Like, I'm gonna go
interested.
negative.
You could literally sell this property in the next 30 days if you take this deal. Can they pay that 3%? And it's a done deal. That's it. They love it. They are willing to take.
I just want to know what your commission is.
I told you.
Yours is 3%.
Yeah, 3%.
And you want my buyer to pay 3%.
No, I want your seller to pay.
My
pay
seller.
For me. Pay that for me.
Yeah, I believe in staying behind the customer. I'm not going to step in front and try to push them to make a decision. I'm going to take my offer off the table in a really that would be. Again, I'm talking this out without really thinking a whole lot about it, just based off of what I know about sales and negotiations. So I would just say something like, it really sounds like that's a big problem for you guys to figure out, and this might not be the house for you. If this isn't the right house for if we can't do that, what's going to happen? What would you do?
Well, Jenny, how long do you want to sit on the market? I'm telling you.
So now you're trying to sell me on the way that I position this property, and I would say, hey, listen, I really appreciate what you're trying to do. Usually when someone does this, it's because they know
What's
that
important for
this
your
is.
seller? What's important for your seller, Jenny? Tell me about that a little bit. At least you could. I told you what's important on mine, and what's important for your seller. Do they really want to stay in the market? Do you guys want to put more marketing dollars in there? What?
Now I have the fiduciary duty to support and to not disclose a lot, right? I'm trying to negotiate for my seller. I need y'all to understand I have never been a real estate agent or even I've literally never had this conversation. I just know the fundamentals of sales. I do. If you know the fundamentals, you can apply it to any field. So I would.
Would you be willing to take less?
No, I'm not going to go back and forth. Because I just, I'm.
At this point, you tell them writing you off, we're going to look at it.
Yeah, I might. I would just say, like, the story that I'm telling myself is no matter what I say, it's not going to be a win-win for you. Like, I might say something like that for you and your buyer. So respectfully, what my seller is interested in is this and
for
that.
For the buyer, let's say in my case, because because Jenny, me and you, I want to buy. My buyers want to buy, and your sellers want to sell, right? We know that. How can we get to the middle and get this under contract?
What do you think we should do?
I think you should pay my commission.
Have you heard yourself? Did you just hear yourself? Help me make
not too long ago, Jenny. Not too long ago. Not too long ago, we would have had this conversation. Like 6 months ago, we haven't had this conversation. We'd already had been on the.
I would love to actually think through some of the responses for this. Honestly, I'm doing my best, but I want to give everybody else. I feel like I've given you some.
I think what you did.
What did y'all hear me say? What did you hear about it?
Jenny? What you said about asking that why, that importance. I think that even taught me. I just right now a lot of the listings are not selling right now. They're staying longer on the market.
This kind of reminds me back to this concept of whoever gives their number first loses. So one of the things that I would train my salespeople to do is ask our sellers what they wanted, like what they needed. Hey, listen, in order for you to get from here to there, what is the most important thing? What's important now? What do you need? So we negotiate from the need. What do you need? And then from there, they would say, well, I was really hoping that you'd tell me, right? Like that's kind of it's this checking the ball back and forth basketball reference. So I was really hoping that you'd tell me. And I would say, hey, listen, I know that you don't know, but if you did know, what would it be? And they're going to be like, well, I'm not really sure. And then we would say something along the lines of, well, if a realtor came out here, what do you think a realtor would say? And so that concept of don't give away information, continue asking questions until they answer it for themselves. It's the same concept of Mrs. Jones, right? It's that same, if you say it, it's true. If I say it, it's false. So I want to in my mind, if I'm talking this out with you, when you ask me that, I would say, hey, listen, what's important to you about that situation? What's most important now? And you're going to tell me, and you're going to ask me for this. And then I'm going to say, hey, what do you think should happen? What do you think that we should do? Well, I'm not really sure. I think you should sell this. Okay, well, if that can't happen, what are you going to do? Okay, well, if that can't happen, what are you going to do? Okay, what happens next? What happens now? What's important about that? I'm literally going, I would train my sales guys to ask for their offer 8 times. Like, we would do role plays where I would make them ask, what's your number? 8 layers deep. Because most people can't go past three surface level objections. Even high level negotiators, even I would tell you most realtors aren't trained in negotiation tactics or have not self-educated themselves enough in these concepts. At least that's my story in my head. It might not be true. That is my truth. And so if you can go 5 questions deep, most of them are going to be like, what the fuck, dude? Like, and they're going to get frustrated, and they're going to go try to convince their seller or their buyer. They're not going to try to convince you. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've really been working on my language. In the sales environment, I get heated. That's only the second one. I've been so good. I have been doing so good. But anyway, yeah, I feel like if I can go 5 layers deep in questions to that other person on the other phone, usually they're only going to have 3 smoke screens and they're not going to be able to go round and round. I'm going to try to stay level-headed. I'm not going to make them out to be the idiot. I'm not going to make them feel stupid. I think that that's a way to cause, to burn bridges. I want to work. I want you bringing people to me. I want us to work together. I want to partner. I want to co-navigate with you. How do we co-navigate this?
Yeah. All right.
So that's where my head goes.
How do you train yourself on this?
Yeah, okay. So there are plenty of people that are like me that are, he asked, how do you train yourselves? There's plenty of podcasts. There's video. There's so much on YouTube. Just Google how to wholesale, what are sales trainings, what negotiations, how do I negotiate better? I mean, there are books. Yeah, okay. So I know I mentioned, yes, he is. And I think for the rah-rah salesperson, like Chris Voss and Jocko are great, and they're warriors, and they're bros, and they're so good. But like, I also have read so many books. So many books. So like How to Influence and Influence People, from Good to Great, I mean, just all the books. And then books that are not even in the wheelhouse of like actionable gamification. It's on games, creating engaging games where people want to engage. And there are concepts in that book. It's an awful read, but there are concepts in that that's wonderful. Sacred Powers. It's all about freaking like, what's that? Reiki. Like, I've read books that are outside, church leadership books about the way churches are structured. And I mean, imagine this building, everybody almost, except for like 3 people, volunteer. They are aligned behind a central purpose, and you have the best of the best people running churches. There's some leadership happening in thriving churches. I want to study that crap. So I don't know. I just look past what's right in front of me and what everybody else is saying, and I try to find avenues where I can engage with. I have learned from other sales coaches. There's Sandler, there's Jeremy Miner, there's Steve Trang, there's Jennie Hudspeth. There are plenty of people that teach sales concepts. You can learn from insurance brokerages. You can learn from gutter guard people. You can learn from roofer. I mean, there's just, I would Google communicate. I would literally chat GPT. Go ask ChatGPT. I'm sorry, that sounded mean.
That good with objection.
Anyway, anybody else?
So you haven't given us just a sales pitch about.
Yeah, I don't. I don't usually, and that's why I didn't put my email here, because that's not why I came here. I came here to listen generously and to serve you guys. I appreciate you asking. It's pretty simple. The first slide does have my company name. It is RAF Sales Tools. But I primarily don't work with solopreneurs. I'm working with teams of wholesalers. I'm working with people who have a team of about 3 to 5 people or more. Primarily, I teach sales training, but you can Google me. I said that earlier, which is like, wow, that's so cool. But you can, because I do podcasts and I do things like this, so there's content online. I sent more. I did a Deal Machine podcast where I went over objection handling. So if you want some communication tools for objections, It's literally 10 objections and my best objection responses.
Can you go over that 3-phase, 3D kind of?
3-layer seat?
Yeah, because I had a call.
Okay, yeah.
I did a cool call on one of the house yesterday, and
I'm listening. I gotta go to training.
so I guess all right. So then I go and I talk to the owner. I said, hey man, this is I was a former neighbor. I see that your house is looks rough. I was interested if you were considering selling the property. And he clicks on me. So I call back right away and I say, hey, so-and-so, it looks like the line dropped. I apologize, I'm driving here. But I wanted to see, what you were gonna do with that property. And he's like, well, that was on purpose. I actually clicked the phone line. So, because I'm gonna rent it out and I'm gonna do this and that. My ideal, what I wanted was I want to buy the house. I want to buy the house so I could, and I wanted to get. How do you get past that? Because once I said, listen, I'm looking to buy the house, and he's like, oh, you probably want to buy it for cheap.
What do you mean when you say for cheap? What do you mean?
Yeah.
It's always listening. Again, if there's one tool that I hope resonates, it's that tool goes everywhere. Listen and language mirror. Listen to the words that they're using, repeat them back and ask a question. You're looking to give it away you're looking to buy it for cheap. When you say I'm looking to buy it for cheap, what do you mean? Just getting clarity. It's disarming.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody is trying to get out of here. I'm finished if nobody else has any questions, or I'll hang back if you guys want to hang back. If everybody's ready to go, you guys feel
So
free.
just ask, like re-ask that question to get clarification.
I'll hang back with you.
I know some people have to go back to work. You guys can stay. We don't have to close this down. You can stay, talk, network. But if you do me a huge favor and sign my sign-in sheet, I'll put it here. And then I also have some keynotes with our next couple meetings. Thank you guys so much for coming, and thank you to Jennie. That was awesome. All right, thank you. All right. We need to get